the string! Pull the string!
Much like my last best sequels of the franchise video, I get this one gets way too much hate. Come on. This is a pretty goddamn cool sequel. And when it comes to Halloween films, I mean, there's plenty to choose from. There's even different trilogies that you can pick from. But when people say that Halloween 6 is the worst of the bunch, I mean, come on. I enjoy, the shitfest that is Resurrection, but even I acknowledge that is among the worst, maybe the worst of the franchise.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
I enjoyed Rob Zombie's films for what they were, but come on, those are far worse than Halloween 6. They're way worse than Halloween 6. Halloween 6 kicks ass. We get one of the best Michael Myers, in my opinion, here played by Doug Wilbur. For the most part, they changed a lot of things at the end of the film, including Michael himself. Now, this is all well documented on YouTube. You don't need me to give you the full rundown of the blah 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 of Halloween 6. I can say that I do really enjoy the theatrical version as well as the director's cut, which, I mean, the director's cut's the shit. We got Michael being stopped by rocks. We got violence all the way throughout. We got some questionable things happening. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down in the comments. I'm pretty sure I could still find it. Here we get the epic conclusion of the Thorn trilogy, which started in part 4 and kind of went off the rails in part 5. Like the ending to that movie with Michael sitting in the cell and getting broken out by the man in black. It made for some creepy visuals, but I don't know what the hell really was going on in that. And between parts 4 and 5, the things that happen with Jamie, it's all a bit wonky, but it's still highly enjoyable. I mean, we get Donald Pleasance in his final film role. And in my opinion, this is exactly why the Halloween films went downhill after this, starting with H2O, although I enjoy that film too. But they went downhill quick after Halloween 6 because we lost Donald Pleasance. Now, maybe if they would have kept Paul Rudd in the picture, everything could have worked out. But we lost Donald Pleasance. We lost our Loomis. And from then on, Halloween, anything they did with the Halloween franchise was going to be a drastic change.
No, well, I had to be in it because it's my character. And I've been in all of them except Halloween 3, which was a diversion from the story. And so naturally they asked me to do it, and I did it, and I'm doing it. And it's very enjoyable. And it's going to be a very good film. I think it's probably one of the best.
Now, people bitch a lot about, Danielle Harris not being back here. But, it doesn't really bother me that much. In fact, I kind of wish they would have just left the Jamie character out of the picture. Maybe mention her going crazy or something. But the girl in the beginning, it didn't need to be Jamie. It could have been any other pawn, any other thing happening. And why the hell did she decide to call into a talk show instead of calling like a cop or something? Anyways, Jamie shows up and she gets fucked up by Michael Myers. And we get one of the coolest Michael Myers masks here. It's genuinely creepy. And they actually based it off, I think it was part 4 or 5, I forget which one, off of the cover art of that film, because even that mask wasn't featured in the movie. And I love Paul Rudd in this flick. He's badass. He does this weird deadpan, like, and it's just great. You see early Paul Rudd. I remember seeing this flick and thinking, this guy's going to be a star. Also thinking, isn't this the guy from the video game commercial? And then, sure enough, we see him later in Clueless, Overnight Delivery. What the fuck? I'm going to talk about Overnight Delivery one day.
I think that Michael Myers is... I always found him to be much more frightening than the other ones, like Jason or anything, because I just thought that the plain white face, that mask, is just, there's something really creepy about it. And I think when we do a scene and he would just walk, and even though I knew who the guy was that was playing him and everything else, there is something weird about that. Or when we would have to run down a hallway, we'd duck around a corner, and then we would have to just wait around the corner, and then we'd wait for Michael Myers to come walking around, and then he'd walk around the corner right towards us, and then he'd yell, "Cut." But to wait, and then all of a sudden he comes around. It's pretty weird. It's pretty...
And he really does stand out in this film as Tommy Doyle. And, we see Tommy Doyle returning again in Halloween Kills, this time played by Anthony Michael Hall. Go figure. And the sequel that the director's cut sets up is pretty damn cool. We essentially get the Thorn curse transferred to Dr. Loomis. So Loomis basically turns in to the new Michael Myers after all this time, which is a pretty cool concept. And I would have loved to see Paul Rudd's character chase after Loomis, continuing the Thorn story. But that never happened, and they basically disregarded the entire Thorn trilogy, and for the first time did the reboot where they only acknowledged the original with H2O. Again, which they disregarded, so we get the new films now. I just love this stupid franchise. And this also has one of the best Halloween scores, in my opinion. And overall look, I mean, throughout this film, we really get the feeling of Halloween and fall and the leaves on the ground and all. I believe I think this was also shot in Salt Lake City, if I'm not mistaken, but they really, really nailed it here. Everything from the camera angles and, to all the violence, the blood on the sheets, the Michael Myers. He's huge in this movie. He's menacing. This movie really is creepy. You got the old lady that's part of the cult towards the end. It's pretty damn crazy. I mean, seriously. And with the theatrical version, we get a bloodbath from Michael with a strobe light going off, of course, in true 90s fashion. And, it all really doesn't feel tropey or like you never really can tell where the movie's going, for better or worse. And, the thing with the curse transferring to Loomis, well, that was clearly never going to happen, considering that, we lost Donald Pleasance. So they decided to do H2O and whatnot. But the theatrical ending to Halloween 6, in my opinion, it's still pretty damn sweet. Now here we get, Paul Rudd, and then they take off. And they leave Donald Pleasance there. And he's real. You can tell Donald Pleasance knows something's up. You can tell Loomis knows that something's up. And what do we see at the end? We see Michael's mask lying there. The shots didn't work or whatever. And we get one final scream from Loomis, which is strange because the next thing we see is, the film being dedicated to Donald Pleasance. But, I guess that kind of wraps up the Thorn trilogy. They could have kept it going, though. I mean, why not in H2O, real quick, just show the little Thorn tattoo or whatever. And there's a deleted scene from H2O where they're in the class, whenever they have the little homage when she looks out and sees Michael, and they tie in everything. They tried to make sense of this stuff, but it got cut, and what do you know? And thanks to, fucking Harvey Weinstein, Halloween 6 was essentially butchered and just shit out on video. It did get a small theatrical run, don't get me wrong, but it didn't do much. It really found its life on video. And all the mandates forced by Harvey Weinstein, like the extra violence and cutting all the subplots and character development, well, it's still made for quite a fun ride. And the original Halloween definitely has iconic scenes. We got the opening. It's one of the best openings in any horror movie ever made. And we got, Michael stabbing the dude and doing the iconic head turn. We got him disappearing after getting shot 6 times. Plenty of iconic scenes in the original. In my opinion, there's some very iconic scenes in this film as well. So while the film went through production hell, started out as a great script done by a fan of the series who was also really trying to make sense of this all, it essentially, again, it was butchered by Harvey Weinstein, Dimension Films, the MPAA. Everyone had their hands in this pot, and they did everything they could to fuck it up, but in my opinion, they failed, because this movie rules. And I think it is the best direct Halloween sequel. Although, yeah, I love Part 2. Part 2 is one of my favorites in the bunch. That's probably my second favorite sequel. But if I'm being completely honest, Halloween 6 is my favorite sequel of the bunch. It's Stancho-ween. Ooh.